All right, Shalom. Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakah Kodash. And I want to say double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings to the hopeful elect out there listening and learning and teaching this word in the sincere hopes that we may edify and feed the lambs of Yahushai, especially in these last days. And yeah, man, just pretty much just wanted to do a quick video here. Which I did a video on this before, but I did a whole video, but Satan just for some reason the sound didn't record, so I'm gonna go at it again. And Lord willing, through the Spirit will be edifying. It's just basically a news update. This is put up on RT News. As you can see, the date is the 17th of May that it was put up. And it says the U.S. is running out of patience over European troop reduction. Now this is gonna go into detail the division in this man's kingdom. The allies of America, they're pretty much getting fed up of especially Donald Trump. He's pretty much shaking things up. He's causing a lot of people's economic situation, even after the CV-19, to be in a worse position than they were since he actually took office. He's slapping tariffs, left, right, and center. Pretty much they want to crash this global economy. But in doing so, he's really shaking things up with his allies at the same time. Because now he's putting more and more pressure on their own allies. When I say their own allies, I'm talking about the allies of America. Which prophetically, biblically speaking, this is going to happen. The Lord said that, the 10 horns, that they shall hate the whore. The whore being America in Revelation 17. Which we're going to go into that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a little bit of this article, and we're going to jump around and get some scriptures. But before I even read this article, I'm going to go into Ephesians chapter 5. All right, because we got to know what time we're in, man. We're not in that peace and safety spirit. We're not in the time of peace. We're in the time of war. You got proxy wars happening. You got wars and rumors of wars happening. You got biblical prophecy speaking, screaming at the moment. And that's the time that we're in. And we got to speak the words of prophecy. Was it 2 Ezra 15:1? Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, right? That I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So this is what we got to do, man. We got to prophesy. We got to teach. We got to, let our people know what's going on. And we got to get right before the return of Yahweh Shai, because he's coming to gather his elect, and we hope that we get picked up by Yahweh Shai, man. All right, this is Ephesians 5:15. It says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." Right? We got to be, circumspect how we move. We got to look around us. That's what the word circumspect means. Like, you're not just having your eyes open and what you can see in front of you, but what you can see behind you. It's spiritually as well. Like, be, spiritually circumspect. Look, see what's going on the news, filter it through biblical prophecy, pray to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, fight them spirits, demonic spirits to try and fuck you, knock you off your game and that. This is all a fight, man. We got to be very circumspect in this time. We're at the end. It's not going to get easier. It says redeeming the time because the days are evil. So we're in some real evil times at the moment, and things are going to get worse, and if the European military, if their economic situation's about to get worse now because of what Trump's about to do, people are going to feel it, man. The European markets are going to feel it. The economy is going to feel it. These things have knock-on effects. These things have rippling effects. And ultimately, politically, there's going to be division among these Edomites. The Lord said that he will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, right? In Isaiah 19, in the Old Testament. And the modern-day Egyptians are these Edomites, right? This is Isaiah 19, verse 1. It says, a message to Egypt, all right? And the modern day Egypt is what? America. It's good to speak about the dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. The great city is talking about America. All right. How do we know that? To speak about, the woman that reigneth, sitteth upon the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. That reigneth over the kings of the earth. The scriptures speak about that in that great city. All right, Revelation 17 and 18. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which is America. All right, that's why everyone wants to go, or at one time still do want to go to America, you know, to make it and that and whatever. But now people are starting to see America for what it really is. Right? It says, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And this is why, you know, that eventually their allies are going to get fed up with America. They are reigning over the kings of the earth. The whore that rideth upon the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. That is talking about, you know, the whore is America, and the beast is talking about NATO and the EU, the allies of America, man. All right, and the whore that rideth the beast, she's controlling the reins of that beast. But soon, that beast is gonna get fed up of being pulled this way and pulled that way, and that beast is gonna buck the whore off its back, and burn her with fire. Okay, it says Washington. Now let's get into this article. All right, it says Washington plans to start sending. All right, discussing the details of a partial European troop pullout. Okay, with other NATO members later this year, the U.S. ambassador to the bloc, Matthew Whitaker, has said America has sought to do so for over 3 decades and is running out of patience. NBC News reported in April that the U.S. is considering withdrawing up to 10,000 troops from the Eastern Europe. Up to 10,000 troops, man. Right, from Eastern Europe. All right, and where they're located, Poland, Germany, you know, Lithuania, you know, it's going to go into that in the article. All right, he's looking to pull troops from those regions. Okay, and that's going to have a knock-on economical effects. It says U.S. President Donald Trump later confirmed that he's considering a partial pullout, but did not provide a timetable. All right, let's see if we can get to the point here. We are not going to have any more patience for foot dragging in this situation. We just need to work through practical consequences, Whitaker said, adding that nothing has been determined yet, but as soon as we do, we're going to have these conversations in the structure of NATO. So they're looking to change things up. It says the cost of replacing the U.S. equipment and personnel following the withdrawal could amount to around $1 trillion over 25 years, Politico reported earlier this week, citing a report by the International Institute for Strategic Studies. The sum would include a one-off purchase costs ranging from $226 billion to $344 billion, depending on the equipment to be replaced, as well as expenses regarding maintenance, personnel, and support. Right, so this is going to hit the EU hard, man, because they're going to have to replace. If the US pulls out their troops, their equipment, and that, then what do you think the EU is going to do? You think that's going to make the EU smile from ear to ear? No, and they're already suffering since the CV-19, right? Since that pestilence that they pushed out there, and then they had people lining up to take the jump shots. You know, the economy's been suffering. It hasn't really bounced back since that, from that. All right, and now Trump's going to go and add insult to injury with this. See, that's going to further rub their allies up the wrong way. And this is why we tell you that eventually, because we're in Revelation 17, right? The scripture speaking about the 10 horns, which goes back to the EU. So this is dealing with Europe. This article is actually dealing with the allies of America, the Europeans. All right, and the 10 horns, that's talking about the EU, right? It says the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast shall hate the whore, right? And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, that fire is talking about thermonuclear destruction. That's what they're going to be using on the whore. That's what they're going to be using on Babylon the Great, which is America, right? And it says that they're going to detest the whore, okay? Or hate the whore, right? Which goes back to detest, the same thing, all right? And you go into the Greek misio. This is to hate, pursue with hatred, detest. Yeah, see? To be hated, to be detested. You know what I'm saying? When you detest something, all right? When you detest something, what does it say? It says dislike intensely. You dislike it. You really dislike it. You loathe. Look at the similar. Abhor, hate, loathe, despise, abominate. You know? Execrate. Right? Feeling, or the word execrate, a feeling or express loathing for. And who do you think is going to put it into the minds of the allies of America? The Most High. He's going to put it into their minds to detest the whore. Okay? It says, and shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate. All right, let's look up that word desolate. Erimu. or eremu in the Greek, to make desolate, to lay waste, to bring to ruin, bring to destruction, to despoil one, to strip her of her treasures. And that her is talking about America. All right, and why does it say of her treasures? Because in Revelation 18, it speaks about how she's going to be destroyed in the whore that was arrayed or clothed in fine linen, right? And gold in that. This is Revelation 18 and 15. And the merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, right? Because America's got all kinds of treasures, shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, for that great city. Now you know who that great city is, America, that's reigning over the kings of the earth, right? The whore, which rideth upon the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, that was clothed in fine linen, and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold, right? Real wealth is gold, silver, cattle. Genesis 13, our forefather Abraham was rich in cattle, silver, and gold, right? And precious stones and pearls. This is all treasures, man. It just said that, right? The word for desolate, right? Strip her of her treasures, right? Eremu in the Greek. It says, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning. And why are they going to cry? They're going to cry because they ain't going to be able to do trade with America no more. They ain't going to be able to. How you going to trade something that's gone up in smoke with thermonuclear destruction? How you going to make trade? All the shipping containers, all the, everything. It's all going to go up in smoke. All the cars, all the convenience stores, right? All the consumers, even the people, they're going to be the fuel for the fire. Scriptures tell you that in Isaiah 5:19. The people are going to be the fuel for the fire, man. Right? And it's only going to take the Lord 1 hour, right? It said that in verse 17, for in 1 hour, right? That's how, and what technology today is going to be able to do that? The nuclear destruction, in addition to Yahweh Shai and the angels, right? Coming with the laser beams. It says, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Right? So come on, man. That's America, because all these businesses, they want to do, this is why these tariffs, right? When America slaps tariffs and sanctions, how are they able to do that? They're known as the hammer of the whole earth. They're able to do that because they have the treasures. That's their essential, basically, essential form of command, if you will. You got 3 parts of this man's system. You got the Vatican, which is like the spiritual on the left hand side, part of his structure. Then you got over here in London, which is the financial part, economics and that. And the Rothschilds are over here in the UK, elite banking families and that and whatever. But then you also got Washington DC, which represents the military part, of this man's structure. Okay. So yeah, even including Washington, that's about to go up in fire and smoke too. All right, and now they're talking about withdrawing their troops. Let's go back to this article real quick. Let's see what this is saying here. It says, as of early 2025, there were nearly 84,000 troops, U.S. troops stationed in Europe, with the largest concentrations in Germany and Poland, and smaller deployments in Romania, Estonia, and Lithuania, according to the U.S. European Command. The U.S. is NATO's largest financial contributor, and Trump has repeatedly criticized the bloc's European members for failing to meet, defense spending targets, and urged them to take more responsibility for their own defense, right? So that's really going to rub the EU, the allies of America, up the wrong way, man. And Trump is he's the guy to set it off. He's doing it, right? Remember the scripture speak about whose look was more stout than his fellows, man. Okay, and ultimately this man's kingdom is divided, and this is the reason why this is going to happen inevitably. Okay, let's get Luke 11 and 17. It says, "What he knowing their thoughts, right? It said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth." And again, that's why I was going to go into Isaiah 19. The scripture spoke about the Egyptian against the Egyptian. Okay, the Lord said he would set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, man. right? And the modern day pharaohs or Egyptians are these Edomites. The earth has been given into their hand, right? So you're seeing trouble in, in Esau's paradise, trouble in the kingdom of the wicked, division in the kingdom of the wicked, and their house is divided, and so it's gonna fall. Inevitably, it's gonna fall. Isaiah 9:5, for every battle with the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Ancient warfare was fought with sword and shield, on horseback and all of that, pikes, spears, and battle axes. This is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. That's the nuclear destruction, in addition to Yahweh Shai and the missiles, man. All right? And like I said earlier, the people are going to be the fuel for the fire. Let's jump down to verse 19. It says, through the wrath of the Lord of hosts, Yahweh of hosts, is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother. So how are you going to be doing trade with a land that's just pretty much, gone up in smoke, and the people were the fuel for the fire? The Lord said he would have a sacrifice in Bozrah, right? So that place ain't going to be doing business no more. That's why they're going to be crying in Revelation 18. That's why they're going to stand afar off, and they're going to be weeping, and they're going to be wailing. Verse 18 in Revelation 18, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. You see that? So it's only going to take the Lord 1 hour to destroy Babylon. Okay? And the Lord's going to put it into the heart of these kings to shoot their missiles, their allies of America, to shoot their missiles on America. All right? And it's just a matter of time. And when you see articles like this, again, being circumspect, hey, this gets us happy, man, because we know that this division that's being caused, it's just gonna serve to create more hatred, more detestable energy, and more unrest economically, and pretty much the alliance is dwindling. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go into. This man's kingdom is divided, man. Let me go ahead and get that Revelation 11, because I was holding that one. Sorry, Isaiah 19, excuse me. This is the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, rideth upon a swift cloud, which is a gigantic UFO, so-called UFO or UAP, that Yahweh Shai is going to come in on, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So the Lord is going to destroy, pretty much Yahweh Shai is going to destroy America, man. Okay, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the Lord is coming with the armies of heaven, thousands of angels to do that. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. You see that? So the Lord is causing this divide in this time. All right, and that goes into civil war as well. You're going to have one people standing up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, as outlined in Ezekiel. Got Ezekiel on the brain. 2nd Ezra 15, right? And a sword, a modern day sword, is a killing instrument. So this is going down, man. All right. So with that, yeah, man, trouble in Esau's paradise, man. Okay, a kingdom divided shall not be able to stand. All right. So with that, I pray you edify to the next time. Shalom to the elect.